Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And with this one, I wanted to bring a bit of a fun one, an arena maps tier list covering all of the currently available arena maps in World of Warcraft PvP, giving my thoughts on them and ranking them from S to D, and let me know what you think. Do you agree with these suggestions and what I'm kind of alluding to in this video, or would you completely disagree with my premise here? Because you might be surprised by some of my choices and some of my rankings. So let's just get started. The first arena map here on the list is the Maldraxxus Coliseum. This is one of the most recently added arena maps. I really love its aesthetics. It's probably the most aesthetically appealing map available right now. I'm trying to think of one that I think it looks better than Maldraxxus Coliseum. I like the interesting take on having these very big starting rooms, so you can create different strategies around that, and then these small pillars but large map. It has a completely unique feel to it over all of the other maps. I think it opens up for some different strategies. It does favor casters a little bit more than melee DPS, so it's a bit of a biased map. It's not a perfect map, but it's definitely one of my favorites at the moment. So I'm definitely going to be putting it up here onto the S tier. Just the aesthetics of it. I really like the different starting areas, and we've already talked about it for the Maldraxxus Coliseum. I'm putting it onto the S tier. And the Grand Arena, this is a classic. If I give this a low rank, people are going to be really mad at me. This is just a standard 4-pillar map. Some of the uniqueness to this map comes in the flavor of the ground. There are little hills and bumps that you can utilize to knock enemies or jump away from to get extra distance from your opponents that you may have never noticed. I love the little cubby holes onto the side, and the uniqueness of the pillars with different lines on them rather than just being kind of a static circle, and of course the starting rooms to add some unique flavor to it. So while it's basic and it's simple, it's still got a couple of unique concepts into it that really push it up to the top. Definitely an S tier arena map. Let's put it up ahead of Maldraxxus Coliseum. If you're on the left of the tier list here, you're going to be the first in that rank. The Robodrone, which came out from Battle for Azeroth, and honestly, not everything from Battle for Azeroth, can receive a huge amount of criticism. I actually really did like this arena map. The uniqueness of the ramp pillar with these two other boxes that were kind of rectangles, but angled rectangles, and you come off into the Coliseum from this like starting lightning room that zaps you in. It's a completely unique experience, kind of like being thrown into the Thunderdome. Another aesthetically pleasing map as well. Didn't take really too many risks while still having some unique flavor to it. And I'm almost starting to wonder if I'm going to start putting all of these arena maps too high onto the tier list, because this is one of my favorite maps because I like using the Z-axis that it has, and it's not like an abusive Z-axis like some other maps, but you still have other options to go for different strategies as well. So I think maybe an A tier at the moment. It's a biased map, I think, towards casters, but it's still just a solid map overall. I really like what they did with it. Empyrean Domain. This map, the way that you zone in, flying in off of the angels is completely unique. But the map itself, the brightness setting, completely destroys the ranking for me. Anything that is appealing about this map is just out the window because it's way too bright. It just physically hurts my eyes, and when I get this arena, I am sad. Even though having like these small pillars, the smallest in the game, provides a very unique experience when you're trying to like chase down your enemies and run them down, and kind of expanding on the outside of the map and trying to pull enemies out into the open can feel cool. The brightness setting just completely destroys this map for me, so it's a D. Blade's Edge Arena. This map has been one of the most volatile maps throughout all of World of Warcraft's history, with the bridge and the pillars. It had those pillars revamped into ramps so that you're not completely at the mercy of knockbacks and mind control effects, but it's still one of the most chaotic maps. But for some reason, there's like still a little bit like, it's like I love to hate it. It's like a love-hate relationship. Because of its uniqueness, its unique character, like this narrow bridge where you can clump up enemies, try and crowd control them, especially with new effects like Ice Wall from Frost Mages or the Abomination's Limb from Death Knights, like trying to create these different environments that you really can't do on any other map. And I know there's a lot of people that would say, get rid of Blade's Edge Arena, I don't want it, get it out of here. But for me, I actually do kind of like it. But it's a love-hate, so maybe that's going to hold it in the middle on the B tier, because sometimes I really love it. No, I'm giving it a higher ranking. I really like this map, even though it can be abusive, and it's love and hate. I actually do like Blade's Edge Arena. I'll be the only one to say it. It might be a bit of a surprise. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you absolutely hate this map? Is the unique character of the map, is the ogre yelling at you too annoying? Just let me know what you think with where you'd put it. But I actually do like the unique, distinct character of this map. It stands out to any other map. Now, Runes of Lordaeron, I would be biased to give this a high ranking just because of my line from the AWC being a fitting final resting place. I'd still really like this map to get a graphics update. I think it's the only map that hasn't received a graphics update, because all the ones that have actually looked really good. I've enjoyed their graphical update. Aesthetically, the maps are almost all really appealing. It's got a unique character with a tombstone in the middle, with a little cart box on the side with the ooze puddle. Ooze brightness has been a problem for me for a little bit. And then you've got this graveyard side where you can kind of run through all these different little tombstones and line of sight and find these little nooks and crannies. You got kiting patterns from the back of the starting rooms. It's got its own unique flair as well. It can be difficult to avoid crowd control on this map, but it's got like this unique character to it. Maybe I'm being too biased, maybe I'm being too friendly to some of these maps. Like, I want to put it on like a high B, a low A right now for me. If it got a graphic update, I would be bumping it up a lot higher, I think, right now. But at the moment, I feel comfortable putting it on like a high B. And now we've got Dalton Sewers. This map is the one where you get pumped out of the Super Mario pipes, and it's got the waterfall that comes down in the middle with the boxes on the side. And it had a couple of things that could be abused in the past that were revamped into ramps rather than just kind of static line of sight points, to be a little bit less abusive. And sometimes when that waterfall comes down, I love it. And sometimes when that waterfall comes down, I hate it. It can win me a game. It can lose me a game. It can be really frustrating to lose or win on that RNG of the waterfall spawning. But having effects like this on the map, maybe if it has more warning, or maybe it does have warning, I've just never been aware of it to when it's coming down, but having some kind of element of, oh, I know that this waterfall is about to come down, so I can play around it, as opposed to being just like, oh, waterfall's down, it just line of sighted me, could be cool. Using environmental effects to try and get an advantage over your opponent is something that I think hasn't been maybe played around with enough. There's been other examples in the past that have been really abusive, like tornadoes in the Grand knocking people away, that they decided to get rid of. But like kind of these pillars that can come out of nowhere, but you know they're about to happen, so you can create something with that moment as they're about to happen. I definitely think it's a bit of an unexplored area of the game. It's a very narrow map. It's heavily biased to melee DPS, as opposed to casters, because you can line of sight so easily on it. So for me, it's probably coming in around a B at the moment, mostly just because of the waterfall RNG. Someone in the chat will point out that it's not RNG, it's got some sort of timer or something that I've just never known about, but the RNG element, I think, does push it down a little bit for me. Now, Tolvaron Arena. I honestly think this arena is kind of bland. I don't know if that's just because it's just all sand, but kind of the fact that it's like perfect symmetry. It's just a triangle of pillars with a very large box. The starting rooms you can't really do a lot with in terms of kind of like uniquely positioning, because they're not that huge. There's a couple of these unique pillars on the side walls that you can sometimes line of sight with, but maybe that's playing into the aesthetic of the arena being this kind of desert, and you're supposed to be lost out in open midfield or something like that. But for me, it's a little bit bland. It's a heavily biased map towards casters. It's a very neutral map. Other than that, there's not really anything that you can abuse in terms of Z-axis. For me, it's kind of coming in towards the bottom maybe of the B, maybe close to a C. For me, it's just not, it doesn't have enough going on in it to try and add some sort of unique flair to it. And I think this is a type of map where you like flip a coin when you join in and your composition. You're either like, oh, free win, or you flip a coin, you're like, well, we're going to get owned on this, which kind of limits the map for me overall. Tiger's Peak, really standard neutral map, beloved arena map, I think, by competitive arena players, similar to the Grand Arena, while bringing in more of a unique flair, having the balconies on the side to provide a little bit of Z-axis, having this unique rectangular tiger pillar, having large starting rooms to pull enemies into, having multiple strategies of going room to room or around the circle in laps for kiting patterns. It offers a diverse range of strategies. Really well-made map for me. I think we're going to be putting Tiger's Peak up here onto the S tier at the moment, just because it's just all around unique, good vibe to it, aesthetically pleasing, really good map. Now we're going on to Ashamane's Fall. This is the one we get the vines kind of opening up. It's got some hills similar to the Grand Arena, like in the flower corner, where you can use knockbacks and stuff to get a little bit of an extra edge that you may have never known. I like the kind of unique line of sights that you can do in the starting rooms. I like that the pillars aren't all the same, unlike Tolvaron Arena, where you've got one slightly bigger pillar and then two smaller pillars. This does add a little bit more flavor to the map and change the way that you're kind of chasing your enemies around the map and where you want to try and get them. them depending on what composition you're playing. And because of that, it can help melee DPS compositions a little bit more. So I think it's going to be higher ranked than Tolvaron right now for me, and probably above Blades Edge Arena just because of its consistency and competitive play. But it is a solid map overall. Now we've got Black Rook Hold. This is a map where you start in those side rooms at the start of the arena, and then you can expand into a third room that's off to the side. You've got a bit of a ramp with one central pillar, and that's the main central pillar. Much to the same of Blades Edge Arena, this map doesn't really feel like any other map in the pool. It's mostly because of those side rooms that you can kind of sneak yourself into, and then you can run out into a different location. You're not kind of just like foxholed into one area like some other maps with starting rooms. You can kind of fold out and find a little escape route and move away. It's heavily biased though towards melee DPS, with how small of a map it is and the way that you can position. Sometimes casters can alleviate this by using things like Ice Wall, so line of sight enemies from trying to run away into the room and pin them down. But I would say it's favored towards melee DPS. Completely unique vibe, aesthetically pleasing map. Where do we want to put it? Let's see. Let's put it maybe, is it above? I think it's above Blade. It's pretty close to competitive in terms of Blades just because of its unique flavor. A lot less love-hate. Like, I'm not joining this game and saying, wow, I love this map or I hate this map like some other ones. So maybe slightly above Blades Edge Arena at this time. And now we've got Hook Point, the smallest map in the pool, where you have these two kind of rectangular, well, more like square pillars with the fence line off to the side. So the asymmetry, which I really like, it makes the map have, like, it's got like multiple play areas that I can fold out, has the little starting rooms that you can kind of move around into and utilize as well. It's heavily biased though towards melee DPS as opposed to casters, which I think holds it back a little bit overall. And there's, while it is kind of a unique flavor, I don't know if it's enough. You can do some quirky stuff like being able to Ursul's Vortex enemies through the fences on the side. If they're hiding on one side, you can pull them out to the other side, which can be kind of cool with this map. But there's something about it that's just not as exciting to me for some reason. So I think it's going to be coming in at a B tier, probably the highest of the B tier at the moment. And it's mostly for the asymmetry than anything else. And now we've got Moogambala. This is a map again where I don't know how many people really like this map. Sometimes it can be really fun if you're a class that's highly mobile like a druid. So I might be coming into this map with a little bit of bias because of the things that you can use with wild charge to get up to the upper balcony and then use the open play fields. Like if you're a high mobility class, or you have things like demonic portal, and you can find all these little unique positions to put your portal and your gateway in to find little escape mechanisms that don't exist on other maps, it can be fun. Other times it just ends up being playing cat and mouse on the big pillar chasing RMP that never wants to get caught, and it can be really frustrating when that happens. It was a pretty risky map, I would say, overall, because nothing else like it. You got the kind of big little room there, you can play the game right there. Like that's almost an arena map in itself, just the starting room. It's like 3 different arena maps lobbed all into one. So it took a big risk, and taking a big risk when it comes to arena maps is generally not well received, I would say. But it has its moments where I really like it. I'm never joining Moogambala on ladder, at least, and going, wow, I really don't like this though. So I don't think it would be fair to put it on C tier. It's probably like a B tier, like a low B tier at the moment for myself. Just because I do actually like certain elements of the map, but then other elements of the map not so much. Mostly the bottom side with the large pillar I'm not a big fan of, but with the stairs and the ramp up top and the side wings I actually do like. So it's like half and half split down the middle, so it goes down into the middle of the tier list. And then finally I've got the Enigma Arena here, which I've had to manually add. And this is the newest arena map, and this is one where I like the asymmetry. It has one small pillar, one set of small pillars, and one set of big pillars, and these are pillars that are like no other pillars in the game. You have the kind of upper ramp that you start the game into, but then the upper ramp goes away, so you don't have that kind of box area to try and pull enemy attackers into. Lots of open field onto the sides to try and get your positioning. Wasn't a super risky map. Not a big fan of the fog that they've put on this map, similar to Empyrean Domain. I don't know if it, at least for myself, it would be a better idea to stay away from kind of like lighting effects like that are just persistent across the entire map, because it can take away from like the attention that you get to what's going on with the combat. But overall, it's a really good map. I actually do really like this. And sometimes when arena maps come out and they're new, people don't like them because it's like, oh, this is new. I don't like this mechanic of it. Get it away from me. But for this map, when it came out, I actually do really like. So for me, I think putting the Enigma Arena here onto the S tier is actually fair. I feel like this map isn't biased towards melee DPS or casters, has some unique feels to it with the asymmetry of the map. It's just kind of the fog thing that would maybe even knock it down to an A tier right now for me. But this is my tier list at the moment for the arena maps. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you agree or do you disagree? Where would you put them? Let me know. Again, just another fun video. And if you like this type of content, you want to stay up to date with patch changes and PvP guides and all of the like with World of Warcraft so you're ahead of the competition, make sure you hit the subscribe button. But without further ado, thank you very much for watching the video, and I will catch you in the next one.